Hi friends, I'm Olga Koelsch and welcome to my studio.
Today we are going to paint a beautiful roses bouquet using simple brush strokes and working on a composition. Let's start from the very center. Small C strokes. We are just arranging them around the flower center. And then I'm taking my second brush and use more diluted version of the color. I will add some pink, and basically I paint just with clean and damp brush, dissolving the previous brush strokes. I will add a little bit more of bold mix inside the watery petals, like this. Always move my hand around. Now with the bigger brush I'm creating bigger brush strokes, again very diluted. I use clean and damp brush, and I use just the paints from the previous brush strokes. Now let's add a little bit more of shades. I add C strokes inside my watery construction, watery brush strokes, and I keep creating and adding more and more brush strokes of different sizes. Now let's paint another flower. Again, I start from the very center with very bold, very small brush strokes, just painting in a spiral way, arranging them and dilute them a little bit. With my more watery mix, I vary pressure on my brush. Sometimes I create smaller brush strokes, sometimes I paint with the body of the brush and create more thicker brush strokes. Now I take very diluted pink mix and apply a few very big brush strokes around. I can add a drop of bold mix into the first flower because the paper is still wet and it creates nice bleeds. Now let's add more shades in both flowers. The one to the right is more watery, so it allows you to play a little bit more with this. I sometimes dissolve some brush strokes, and some of them I keep just bold and precise. The bigger variety you manage to achieve, the better. Now let's add some greenery. I will use Perlin green with a bigger brush and basically painting with the body of the brush, starting from the tip of the brush, a little bit of pressure and release the pressure. The darker green color allows to pop up very light blooms, make them more shiny and bright. I added a little bit of indigo into my greenery for the variety of colors. And now let's paint the third rose. Same principle. First very bold and very narrow thin brush strokes, and then apply a little bit more pressure onto your brush and use more diluted mix. Always wash your brush and paint with very, very diluted pink mix. You can use any pinks or warm oranges, what you like. When I paint, I leave a lot of white space between brush strokes to show the most bright parts. Now with the smaller brush and a little bit bolder color, I add some strokes to create shades, to divide petals. Rather chaotic, I would say, but after that I dried my brush a little bit with a paper towel and soften soften all these brush strokes. Now more greenery. The paper is still wet, that creates nice bleeds once our dark green touches the bloom. Now I will add a little bit more of indigo into the greenery part and lavender color. I rarely use it, but right here it will play very nicely. This cold lavender with all warm tones of roses. Play around. I will also add some touches of olive green. Sometimes I use very diluted mix, sometimes I use it pretty bold or right from the pans. So now let's paint another one, as I want to create a nice, so to say, garland of flowers. Same principle. It's a very nice practice to paint very super loose roses just with brush strokes. So firstly you prepare the surface with watery brush strokes, and then with the other brush you paint with bold mix on the top of these pre-diluted mix. Arrange strokes in a kind of pentagon shape. It will look very naturally when you paint roses. And just keep arranging the strokes, and then with a bigger brush, clean and damp brush, go around, not everywhere but in some places, add a very diluted pink mix. Always try to keep a little bit of white paper around. And now let's connect all our flowers with some greenery, and I mix lavender with indigo to create this dusty gray mix. Now let's make a nice curve and arrange the fifth flower underneath. So all in all, this garland will also be arranged in a S shape, so to say. Diluting, very diluted pink mix. We prepare our flower. In arranging C-strokes, try to vary the pressure on your brush. The more you dance with your brush, the nicer, the better will be the results. So just arranging brush strokes. This flower, it will be a little bit tilted, so I arrange brush strokes more to the bottom of this flower. And now let's add greenery. The greenery help us, so to say, to anchor the flowers and bring them into a bouquet, so they will look like an arrangement and not a single flowers. So also try to vary different shades of green you have in your palettes. Olive always looks nice. And now let's have a look what can be added. Small grass, small greenery paths. With I paint them with the tip of my smaller brush, my bluish gray mix. Basically right now what I'm doing, I'm just adding brush strokes in a way that it will create nice composition. Now let's add some curviness. Also, greenery helps us to achieve the result, to combine everything in one nice bouquet. Basically, I'm just add brush strokes. Sometimes I paint with the tip of the brush to imitate very small little buds or some grass fillers around. Maybe a little bit more of shades in the roses. The paper is almost dry. That creates basically very precise brush strokes. Now we can add a little bit more to divide flowers from each other, to divide petals within the flowers. Just keep looking where your flowers need some depth, some shades. Go around. Usually the darkest part is the very center of the flower, so you can always add a little bit of darker tones inside the flower, in the middle of the flower. And when you paint inside, you paint with very small brush strokes. And now our roses bouquet is ready.
Thank you so much for painting with me. I hope you enjoyed the process. Please leave me some feedback and comments what you would like to paint next. See you next time. Bye bye.